guns are roaring, onslaught is roaring. Here's one metamorph in Bruticus. They all combine and kick superiors behind as the big bad battle in Bruticus.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Son, you kissed my wire. Baby, my heart's on fire.
To transform Swindle into his leg mode, simply push the hood pieces back forward again and insert the foot accessory into the plug at the bottom. And this is where you can plug the gun into the central part to fill in any gaps. Rotate out the combiner port, and he is ready to be Bruticus's leg. For Brawl, do much the same thing. Take these bottom parts of the tank and fold them out and forward so that they are out of the way. Push them until they click into place at the back. This will expose another combiner port at the bottom where you plug in the hand-foot accessory. Most people will have the tank turret fold up like this to form a sort of kneecap for Bruticus, but it is a matter of preference. You can leave it down to make the leg more solid and boot-like. And here you have Bruticus's legs, ready to stand tall. Take Blast off. And push out the canopy as if you were turning him back into robot mode. Unpeg the arms from the sides. Fold up the fins. And then split the leg parts out, again as if you were turning him into a robot. Rotate out the combiner port like so. Fold the wings so that they are pointing up. Then after that, it's a matter of choice. There are a number of different ways that you can rotate the arms. I prefer to rotate them all the way up, like this, and then rotate them. Then rotate the elbow swivel and point the arms so that they are slung over the back. This way they will tuck out of sight more neatly instead of hanging loose the way that they normally do. After that, rotate the waist 180 degrees and tab the lower sections back together. This will form a bendable elbow, which will bend in two places for more articulation. Then create the hand with the hand-foot accessory the way that you normally do. And here you have him as an arm. I prefer to plug the gun underneath the wing and keep it out of the way. To turn Vortex into an arm, uncap the rotors at the top, flip up the canopy pieces again, and then splay out the canopy backwards as if you were going to turn him into a robot. Temporarily untab the arms from these peg holes in the side, and separate the leg sections. Push out the rotor from the back, then rotate out the combiner port. You will see 2 tabs here on the sides next to the robot head, and 2 grooves here. Plug them in, and they will hold solidly. Tab the arms back into the sides. In this configuration, he will have a double-jointed elbow rotation. You can rotate the waist swivel to give him more elbow articulation in his gestalt mode. I like to plug the gun into this peg hole at the side to keep it up and out of the way. Take the hand-foot accessory and configure it so that it forms the opposite hand of his body. Plug it into the port at the base of the feet. Rotate the rotor assembly down like so, and tuck the blades between the fins of the back rotor. This will keep them firmly in place and prevent them from slipping around all over. And here you have Bruticus's other arm. And doesn't it look funny? Here, hug me, hug me. To change Onslaught into Bruticus's torso, follow these simple steps. Unpeg the legs and pull them apart. And rotate so that the wheels are pointing inwards. This will form Bruticus's thighs. Flip up the gun assembly. And untab this portion so that these side flaps are pointing upwards. Pull apart the upper arms. You will see there's a peg here and a groove here. Those snap together. And fold the arms up and over so that the fists are pegged into the slabs up at the top. Rotate the missile trailer assembly so that it is pointing up like so. These tabs at the side of the wing will peg into grooves at the front of the arms and hold it firmly in place. Take the cod piece of Bruticus, then rotate and flip it down so that it is covering his cod. Flip this hinge downward so that Bruticus's head has his dramatic reveal. Flip this down, rotate backwards, and then rotate the guns so that they are pointing up. Take the part that formed the missile trailer and expose the combiner ports by flipping them sideways like so. Flush them against the sides, and the combiner ports will be exposed. After that, it is simply a matter of plugging in all of the deluxes into their combiner ports. You can mix and match them, but anybody with a sane head on their shoulders will use the Generation 1 configuration. Because who wouldn't want to have a tank as a leg? Some people leave the arm rotation part of the transformation out of Onslaught until the deluxes are in their combiner ports. I prefer to simply snap these out of the way and plug in the deluxes. After that, you may rotate the pegs back into place so that they will hold securely and firmly. And here you have Bruticus, fully assembled and ready for battle. As a fan of the Combiner Wars franchise, and a fan of Generation 1 Bruticus, I am impressed with this figure. Even though he is mostly comprised of remolds and repaints, Somehow it all comes together nicely. The color scheme, the appearances, everything seems to just fit together very well. And to top it all off, Legend's Shockwave will plug neatly into his hand and allow you to hold him so that you can recreate the scene from The Revenge of Bruticus in the Generation 1 cartoon. They were even kind enough to supply a peg hole on Bruticus's back so that you can plug Shockwave into there and have him recreate the scene where he ignominiously fires Shockwave into space. Bruticus has the same articulation as many of the Combiner War figures, which is to say that he has ratcheted elbows, ratcheted hips, bends at the knee, rotates at the hip. He has no waist articulation, but he does have a head that will rotate 360 degrees and is fairly solid with no lips. You can put Bruticus into quite a variety of poses, but the combiner ports are generally weak to the point where you must hold him in place in order to maintain those poses. If they will come out with some sort of figure stand or something which allows you to support the figure, you can gain more poses and more playability with them. But Bruticus has excellent detail, excellent posability, and for some reason he is just more fun than Defensor. The one weak point is that the codpiece hangs loose here when you move the hips in any way. The color scheme and remolding for the Combaticon figures and their gestalt Bruticus work well enough that it doesn't detract much from them. I therefore give Bruticus 9 deaths up. And now let's listen to that riff one more time.
The Combaticons are warring, onslaught is roaring. Here's one metamorph in Bruticus. They all combine to kick superiors behind as the big bad battle in Bruticus.
If you refuse me, honey, you lose me, then you'll be left alone, oh baby, tell them all, and tell me I'm your own.